through a job that I did over Christmas for a magazine. It's a literary journal called The Engine Quarterly, and it came to me through Jackie Winter. That's the finished piece. To put it into context, that's the studio, and that's the corner where I work. Okay, so this is the brief that arrived in my inbox from the art director, Stuart Geddes. Hi Chris, hope you're interested in doing this. Brief is briefly, how is culture made? Here's one shot of the equation: people plus buildings plus ideas plus the right weather plus conditions plus tools plus task rates plus funding equals culture. Once this is either how does an idea, a book, a play, a poem, or a film, or a design, how does it mutate and transform? Your brief is to answer this question or expand on the theory of it. It's pretty open, you know. It's not a closed brief at all. They're not saying paint a man and a dog. They're saying we're interested in your ideas here, which is, you know, encouraging to start off with. Also in this issue there are a few pieces about religion and takes on religion. Aside from the editor and I both really like what we do, there's a reference to religion in an example of yours that we think would be good for this issue. So already I've got a clue as to maybe what they're after, and I've got an idea that, you know, there might be a bit of elbow room in this job to come up with something interesting. They also sent me some previous covers, and these also I took as clues to how much I could sort of jostle, how much jostling room I had within the brief. So none of these are particularly literal looking covers, they're all quite sort of conceptual. And I was also asked to do the spreads on the inside, so there are also 7 interior spreads, and those are done in a process, Pantone colour and black and white. And I think the headings for the interior ones were newsreel, memoirs, interview, fiction, essays, poetry, and in colour. So I figured what I would do was hit the right note for the cover with the art director, and then move on to the interiors from there, rather than just throwing a whole bunch of stuff at him. If I got the cover right, I knew I'd get the interiors right. So I started concentrating on the cover. I knew that if I put a bit of myself into this project and did what I wanted to do, I might actually get away with doing something really, really nice. Whenever I get the sense that there is that kind of room, that if you're not being heavily art directed to, and you're being told to, you know, paint the man and the dog, always try to get as much of yourself into your work as possible. If you start doing that, if you start painting about things that you're interested in, and you start trying to squeeze your interests into your work, you actually start developing a style without even thinking about it. And that's how your style will come about. You're making your work about yourself. So whenever I see there's a little bit of elbow room, I always try and not shoehorn, but, you know, if you've got the room, try and make it about something that you're interested in. This is a sample of Indian medical charts and Indian health charts that they put out over in India. I love that kind of the crappy printing, the naive figure work. It's something that I actually aspire to. I haven't quite nailed it yet, but that was, I think from the cover I thought, okay, well I'll go with 3 ideas. I'll see if I can think of 3 ideas to send through for the cover. And so I thought, okay, I've got to try an Indian medical health colour, and I came up with the concept of a small child getting a shot of culture. And that's how culture is born. It's kind of, we get immunised and told what it is. So, I was starting to, you know, there's a little bit of my own ideas about what culture is coming to play within that. I think sometimes we're dictated to about what we should think is cultural, what's highbrow, what's lowbrow, and that sort of idea was coming into this particular art. There was a famous artist called Jose Posada. He actually did this stuff for political comments and stuff before the Day of the Dead celebration sort of took it up as part of it. But I really love the line work and stuff in that. And I'm always trying to get Mexican imagery into what I'm doing. So I came up with this piece of work. I'm trying to remember my theory behind why this was appropriate for the cover. I think that the idea that there is a culture out there that actually celebrates death rather than kind of shying away from it is kind of like turning the notion of Western culture on its head. Actually, it's not something that we embrace or look, celebrate in any way whatsoever. But Mexican culture actually makes it this fantastic, beautiful, colourful festival, and that different way of approaching culture, I think, was my way into this particular idea. The third idea, well, I knew that they liked that Indian goddess Kali that I've done, so I looked through my Indian references and found a picture of a goddess called Radha. I actually got this quote about her, which I felt was actually, it sounded like it was a quote about what the equation for culture for me. So I went, Radha's perfect, I've got to do her. That was the third one that I sent through. They went along with Radha. Radha was the one that I kind of knew they would. This is the rough that I sent through. I work on tracing paper with a kind of thick 2B pencil because it's nice and dark. I actually decided that I really liked the image. It was something that I really wanted to paint. And whenever I do that, I go, hey, can I do this on a canvas? Can I get a second usage out of this? Can this be something that I can put onto a wall and sell as well? Normally I work on illustration board, $10 illustration board. On this occasion I decided, okay, I really like this Radha image, I'm going to do it on a canvas. So I prepped my canvas and it's going to get a really weathered, textured, vintage kind of appeal to it. I like vintage things. I like things that look like they've lived a life, like they have some history, like they tell a story. Then what I've done, I've sort of jumped a couple of steps here. You can see from her arms, I've just gone in with a lighter pink again and given that a bit of a workout. And then I've gone in right into the tips with a darker tone again. I think it was at this stage that I realised that on the arms and the flowers, I had used the graduation or the line work. I'd done it on the wrong side, on the wrong tip of the flower.
Right.
That's when I went to Nigel and said, hey Nigel, can you notice anything freaky about this plant? And Nigel said, don't be stupid, it looks fine. I think it actually works. I think I did it subliminally because it helps the arms stand out from, flips them from the rest of the image so they're easy to read visually. And I think that's something I did without thinking about it. And just put the lily pads around it, some composition, and that's pretty much done. That's for memoirs, interview, that was for fiction, essays, poetry section, and that was for the section called In Colour. And I just went, okay, what's the most sort of vivid, cool image I can find that I can get away with drawing a set of head, and the art director goes, yes, you can do that, I'll do it. So I got an okay with that. It looked vivid, it looked in colour, and they were happy with that. And that's it. Thanks very much.